It's a beautiful afternoon here in the beautiful south of France as we welcome you to the world-famous Paul Ricard Grand Prix Circuit for round 5 of the 2023 Italian F.4 Championship. This is the famous circuit which was built by the famous industrialist Paul Ricard back in 1970. It is the finest motorsport complex in Europe, if not the world. Great to have your company here this afternoon. Yes, we've crossed the border for the second time in 2023. 37 cars are on the circuit, which has got a track temperature. Well, it is getting quite warm, let's just say that. An ambient temperature just over 30 degrees Celsius. As you look at the cars on the grid, including the American Ugo Ugachukwu, who starts out a pole position for race 1 here this afternoon. Starting alongside is Kasper Stuka, who starts on pole position for race 2 tomorrow morning. But for the moment, it is the outside front row of the grid for the pole, who made his debut in the Italian Championship in 2021. Jimmy James, pole position for race 3 tomorrow afternoon, but it's grid 3 for the Australian, the Ferrari Junior, who's coming off a win in the Euro Championship race at Mugello 2 weeks ago. Tuukka Tappinen starts out at grid 4 in car 8. And then we go to Zachary David, the second US racing car in the top 5. That's him right in the center of your screen. Great to have your company here this afternoon as we take a look at the grid for the first of 3 races here in France. Ugo, the American, starts out of pole position. Kasper out of grid 2. James and Tuukka, the Prema Racing teammates, on the second row of the grid. Zachary David, Brando Badoer on the third row. Ivan Dominguez, the Portuguese driver, also for VAR. Good, strong running qualifying for James Agozzi out of grid 8. Arvid Lindblad, the championship leader, out of grid 9 alongside Gianmarco Pradel, Akshay Borda, Aurelia Nobel's great run from her in qualifying. Rafael Nadak, Alfio Spinner, Pablo Sarrazin, another French driver. Ariel Elgin, the Israeli, is Enzo Deligny. We welcome him back to the championship. Rashid Al-Bahedi is next. Then Nicola Lacorte back in grid 19, the driver who won at Imola. Jack Peaton out of 20. Ricky Lou, Valentin Klus, Nandavid Bidambakti. And the Emirati-based Italian Matteo Quintarelli for RSGP out of 24. Frederick Lund, Matthias Ferreira, Victoria Blockina, Kim Wareng, Ethan Isher, the 2 Jensen Motorsport teammates together. Tina Halsman, one of 3 girls racing for the women's trophy here this afternoon for AKM Motorsport. Car 21, she's out of grid 30. 31 is one of 4 Australians in the field. That's Griffin Peebles, Alvise Rodella, Diego De La Torre, Kabir Anurag, the Singaporean, makes his debut. Ismail Ahmed, Guido Lochetti, and another series debutant, Gabriel Holguin, the Miami-based Venezuelan driver for Muffy Racing. We welcome back the Swiss-Ethiopian team, Muffy Racing, back to the championship as Gabriel Holguin makes his debut in European car racing. Well, the breeze has picked up, the sun is shining. It's been a swelteringly warm week here. Temperatures of around about 34, 35 degrees. Not quite that here this afternoon. No chance of rain. Beautiful blue skies here on the French Riviera, this magnificent circuit. As the car's about to set off on their formation lap, led by Ugo. There's James. There's James getting away. Tuukka Tappinen. We'll take a look at the championship as we get underway, as we saw on the grid. Arvid Lindblad, he's the championship leader, but he starts back on grid 9. He is the championship leader on 221.5 points. Ugo, pole position, the American, still in with a chance of the championship. He's in P2 on 143 points. James Wharton, 123.5 points. Kasper Stuka, basically conceding here this weekend that his hopes of winning the championship virtually over, if not mathematically so. Kasper is P4 in the series, aiming for the title of vice champion, at least in what promises to be his 3rd and final year of F4. There is Gianmarco Pradel, debut season for the Sydney sider. Kasper Stuka, 4th in the series, 108 points. Brando Badoer, P5 on 104, as is Zachary David. So Arvid Lindblad, a good, strong weekend in this, the 5th of 7 rounds of the 2023 championship. His mentor, Ollie Rowland, here at the circuit amongst the crowd, which is growing here this afternoon. Great to see. 37 Formula 4 cars on circuit, being led by Ugo Ugachukwu. There is the chicane, which, should I say this, unfortunately we are using here once again this weekend. Once upon a time, Indeed, technically, it is still possible to go straight through the Mistral Straight. I think the Blancpain GT series a couple of years ago, together with the Lamborghini Super Trofeo series, they went straight ahead. It is the chicane, the Grand Prix layout here this weekend. Ugo leads to the left. Off your screen, that was once the home base for the Toyota Formula One series. Now home for the Winfield Racing School, where you yourself can actually drive a genuine Formula One car around this magnificent circuit. Bernie's backyard. This is the finest motorsport complex in Europe, I promise you, if not the world. As we look at Alfio Spinner, car 9, looking for a good weekend. Il Siciliano, the BVM racing team. Ugo Ugaciuco took the first ever victory in the all-new European Formula 4 Championship, which got underway 3 rounds of that series. Different to this, the Italian series, even though there is similar management. Ugo taking the first 2 race wins. James Wharton taking a race 3 victory. The European series, not to be confused with, is the Italian Championship. Racing at Mugello, Monza in September, and then the series final in October. This is the Italian Championship, though, as international as it is. 5 Italians in the field. There is James Agozzi, another American, so we've got 2 inside the top 8. Ugo from New York, and James Agozzi from Miami. That is Brando. Needs a good, strong run here this weekend. The Italian car 15 for Venomous Ford Racing, the team from the Netherlands, which have twice taken out the title of the world's most competitive junior motor racing series. Dennis Hauger in 2019. Congratulations to Dennis, winning in Formula 2 at the Hungaroring just a few hours ago. And of course, in 2021, Ollie Beerman, who took the title for the Dutch team of Fritz van Amersfoort. There is Ugo for the Bremer Racing team. Car 3 on pole position here at Paul Ricard. Casper on the outside of the front row of the grid. Great to have your company as we welcome you to the world-famous Paul Ricard Circuit in the south of France. Round 5 of the 2023 Italian F.4 Championship, presented by WSK Promotion, together with Acisport, the Automobile Club of Italy. It is the American and the Pole which share the front row of the grid here in the south of France. We wait for Ismail Ahmed, Guido Lucchetti, the Tuscan, Gabriel Holguin to pull into position at the back of the grid. 37 cars on the circuit here at Paul Ricard. We wait for the green flag at the back of the grid. Race 1 of 3 here this weekend, round 5 of the 2023 Italian F4 Championship. The green flag flies, the 5 red lights for the first time this weekend here in France. We race. Fantastic start from the pole from grid 2. Casper goes wheel to wheel with Ugo, and he's slightly got ahead of the American. Brando pulls out down the inside. Casper, can he hold it around the outside? They go wheel to wheel down into turn 1. He's done it. What a brilliant start by Casper Stuka. Ugo back into second place. It is the pole from grid 2 who leads the opening stages of the first lap of the first race here this weekend at Paul Ricard. The Bremer Racing team, 2, 3, 4. Brando up into P5. Casper Stuka leads down into turn 5 for the first time. James Agozzi up the inside of Brando. By the way, the second American inside the top 8 says move over Brando, but the Italian closes the door on the Floridian. Good clean start here in the south of France. Bidombakti going through with the Jensen Motorsport team drivers as they go up the Mistral Straight for the first time. Casper Stuka, position 1 for the US racing team. Ugo, second place. That's James in P3 from Tuca. Ivan Dominguez, in fact, it is. Dominguez is the top VAR driver. Brando just a couple of positions behind. So Ivan Dominguez in P5 just ahead of James Agozzi. Frederick Lund, Valentin Claus, Bidombakti, Nicola Lacorte, Matteo Quintarelli, Ethan Isha, and Matthias Ferreira. As they go at the end of the back straight for the first time, the 2 Bremer Racing teammates go side by side. That is Ugo and James. They almost touch, and that gives James some space to run away with this. Wharton on the outside, sorry, Casper some space. Wharton almost did a repeat of what Charles did. a couple of seasons ago, got out of the throttle, backs out of it. There's James Agozzi going on through. Kasper Stulga leads them down the hill by the pits for the first time. A fantastic start from grid 2. And Kasper Stulga for the German-based US racing team with the Polish driver in the Italian Championship here in the south of France will lead them across the line for the first time. There's Arvid Lindblad, the championship leader, trying to make his way up. He's thinking about the championship. Even if a win here this afternoon seems like a very big proposition. James Agozzi, superstar for the second American. There is Lindblad, just on the back of Brando Badoer. Kasper Stulga, 0.8 of a second ahead of Ugo Ciucco. Lindblad on the inside. Lindblad has gone through and taken Brando, the Englishman, up into position 8. The Prema Racing Team, 2, 3 and 4 with Ugo, James and Tuukka Tappinen. There is the championship leader, the Red Bull Junior, who just rides the ripple strip. James Agozzi, superb for the PHM Racing Team down into turn 5. There's Akshay Bora, Gianmarco Bradell, Alfio Spinner, Pablo Sarazan. Good start from the Emirati, Rashid Al-Daheri. Head of Nobels, Biram Bhakti, Ariel Elkin, VK, Ricky Liu, Jack Beaton and Matthias Verheera. The gap, 0.9 of a second. A brilliant start from Kasper Stulga. We'll start from pole position tomorrow in race 2 as well. Start at grid 2 for this, the first race of the weekend, and he's already leading Ugo Ciucco, who's still got the championship in his sights for 2023. Kasper Stulga, incidentally, fastest free practice 1 yesterday, fastest free practice 2. The US racing team, they finished vice champion in 2022. With the Irishman, Alex Dunn. Mathematically, it may be impossible for Kasper Stulga to take the 2023 title. But vice champion 2 years in a row, that'd do nicely for Gerhard Unger as we come into the 5th of 7 rounds for 2023. Still a long way to race as James Agozzi goes through. The second American inside the top 5, Ugo, the first of which in second place, just pulling away from James Wharton. Tuukka Tappinen, there is Agozzi. Dominguez, superb. He had a good run, did the Portuguese driver, as James gets sideways in spectacular fashion. There is Spinner, just coming up on the back of Gianmarco Bradell. There is Rashid Al-Daheri just behind him. Dominguez had a really good run in the first round of the European Championship, the Euro 4 series, which kicked off at Mugello 2 weeks ago. And he's inside the top 5 at the moment, the top 6 in fact. There's Alfio Spinner in the background trying to take one of 4 Australians in the field. Gianmarco Bradell is ahead of the Sicilian with the Emirati Rashid Al-Daheri just behind. Great start here for the first race of the 5th round of the Italian Championship as they straight line the ripple strip. There is Ivan Dominguez going through car 17. An incident further back in the pack with Frederick Lund just coming into the pits a few moments ago. The Costa Rican Dane has rejoined in the AKM Motorsport car, but he's running way down the field in position 36. Kasper Stulga, as we look at Tuukka Tappinen, have a bit of a look at the back of the Australian, his teammate James Wharton. The gap is now 1.2 seconds between Kasper and Ugo. The field settles into a rhythm. Kasper Stulga, 1.2 seconds. You know in F1 terms that's out of the DRS zone. We don't have that in Formula 4, but in reality, Ugo Ciucco is too far back to take advantage. In clean air, as again Wharton goes wide on the same corner, sideways behind from Tuukka Tappinen. There's an opportunity for the Finn, the 2 Prema Racing teammates. James Wharton struggling here, holds onto it nicely though, brings it back on the circuit, loses time to his teammate Ugo Ciucco. And Tuukka Tappinen, the 2 Ferrari juniors, positions 3 and 4. Ugo, the McLaren junior, in position 2, but it's Kasper Stulga, the pole for the German US racing team in P1. We'll check the gap as they come across the line this time. Fastest driver on the circuit is the race leader, Kasper Stulga, with a 2:06.559, 1.28 seconds. Too far back now to get the slipstream is Ugo Ciucco. Tappinen is not. Tries to make the move on Wharton. James Agozzi is catching the both of them. Fantastic racing between the 2 Prema Racing teammates. Angelo Rossin, team manager or team principal of the Prema Racing team, will have no fingernails left. Kasper Stuka, superb. Ugo Chukwu has broken clear of his teammates, the Ferrari juniors, 3 and 4. And McLaren Junior in P2, the gap 1.284 seconds. Kasper Stuka, no one giving him a tow. Nobody breaking the slipstream for the pole. And he's got the fastest lap of the race at 2:06.559, 0.2 of a second faster than the American, who dominated the opening round of the Euro 4 Series. There is the McLaren Junior in second place. Watch further back though, Tappinen on the back of Wharton has a little look into the chicane, right smack bang in the middle of the Mistral Straight. They climb up the hill. It is a deceptively steep climb here at Paul Ricard. Lindblad going through, P8 from Brundle, by the way, Akshay Bora, that is Gianmarco Bradell. The Australian just a position outside the final point scoring position ahead of Alfio Spinner, Rashid Al-Hedi, Pablo Sarazan, Aurelia Navels. Good run from Aurelia. She was in position 9 for most of qualifying, just pipped in the final stages. One of four girls racing for the women's trophy, which is being led at this point of the championship by Victoria Blochina over Tina Hausmann. Tina down in 25th position at the moment, ahead of Victoria, who's in position 31. The gap 1.4 seconds. Kasper, as they race down the hill, as we approach the first third of the first race of 3 here this weekend, round 5 of the Italian Championship. A close-up of one of 2 Ferrari juniors. That's Tuukka Tappinen, the 2021 World Kart Racing champion for the Tony Kart Racing team. In P4, James Wharton. P5, KZ2 in the effective KZ World Championship, or the KZ2 World Cup. A couple of seasons ago for the Paralympic Motorsport team. James Agozzi earlier on in 2023. He wrapped up the WSK Supermaster Series in OK for the Tony Kart Racing team. Also, that was at the Cremona Circuit. As you get a good look at Aurelia Nobel, she's been in great form this weekend. Behind Pablo Sarazan, ahead of the Thai, Biram Bakhti, ahead of the Israeli, Ariel Elkin. Another new helmet design for the driver from the Holy Land of Haifa in Israel. Self-designed by Ariel. Saved a ton of money as well. Check it out on his Insta page. It is something to behold. Ariel Elkin, car 29, ahead of Valentin Glus. Jack Beaton and Ricky Liu in car 66 rounds out the 20. Tuukka pulls out of the slipstream ever so slightly. The gap between himself, back to James Agozzi, just over a second. And then it's Dominguez, Zachary David, the championship leader, Arvid Lindblad, position 8. Ugo Chukwu, position 2, is taking points out of his Prema Racing teammate, the Red Bull Junior. P1 in the championship, a P8 in the opening race of the weekend here, 1/3 race distance. The Londoner just going through, the Red Bull Junior ahead of Brundle Badoer, Akshay Bora, Gianmarco Bradell and Alfio Spinner. 1.8 seconds now, the gap between Kasper and Ugo. That's Zachary David going through in car 20. Another great drive from Ivan Dominguez, who has been on the podium in the past. A strong future ahead for Ivan Dominguez, the Portuguese driver for the Dutch team here in the south of France in the Italian Championship, as Arvid Lindblad gets very close to the back of Zach. David closes the door, they both lock up, they'll both lose time to James Agozzi going through. Lindblad wants the place, wants the points. A win this afternoon in the opening race of the weekend looks unlikely for the championship leader, but he needs every possible point. A car going very wide in the background coming onto the straight. Look to be one of the PHM machines. We concentrate on this battle between Zachary David, the Maltese-based Filipino driver, into Arvid Lindblad. That's Akshay Bora going through. His teammate, position 1, 1.8 seconds down the road. Kasper Stuka, superb. Lindblad with a tighter line. The front right off the deck as they come out of turn 5. Approaching 1/2 race distance, the first of 3 races here this weekend. The 5th round, the 10th anniversary season of this, the world's most competitive junior motor racing series, the WSK promotion, presented Italian F.4 Championship, together with the Automobile Club of Italy. Great to be here in the beautiful south of France in the French summertime. Arvid Lindblad into the chicane, goes a little bit wide, that will cost him. Won't lose the place to Brando just for the moment. But Akshay Bora runs off the road. He's got a problem. And the second driver from New York is going slowly. It looks as though Bora has got a terminal issue. And the Indian, Singaporean, American car 31 for the US racing team drops down the order. Bora's race is seemingly over. A disaster for Akshay. He's dropped off the leaderboard. His older brother, Nikhil Bora, that's Frederick Lund in pit lane. We'll get back to that in a moment. Frederick Lund for the AKM Motorsport team steps out of car 87. So the Costa Rican Dane is out. Bora, we believe, has stopped at the side of the circuit. One of the Jensen Motorsport cars further back in the pack going right around. Near on, impossible to hit anything here at Paul Ricard. Well, not literally. It can happen. It does happen, but not on that occasion. The Jensen Motorsport car looked to be Griffin Peebles going around, but has been missed by everyone and everything. He rejoins, but he's down in 35th place. Demoralising the field is Kasper Stugger, although there is Tuukka Tappinen confirmation for the Finn at the bottom of your screen. Fastest lap of the race now at 2:06.118, just a tenth faster than the race leader, half race distance. The first of 3 races in the 2023 Italian F.4 Championship, round 5. This is Bora coasting back to the pits. Sounds and appears as though it may be a gearbox issue. We'll try and find out what has happened to Akshay Bora. His older brother watching on, having just stepped out of his Formula Regional European Championship car. Their first race taking place here earlier this afternoon. But the younger Bora brother, Akshay, is out. Kasper, 1.8 seconds ahead of Ugo, then James, Tuukka, then James Agozzi, Ivan Dominguez, P6 now, Zachary David, Lindblad, by the way out, Gianmarco Bradell, now in the final point scoring position. Ariel Elkin, just ahead of VK, that's Valentin Plus coming up behind in car 10 for the PHM racing team. This was just a few moments ago. Victoria Blockina takes the place just from Diego De La Torre, but the Mexican gets back the Moscovite on the exit. Fabulous racing by those two. Diego De La Torre being coached here this weekend by current GT3 racer Rael Gutzman, his countryman, former competitor, in fact, in the Italian F.4 Championship. Great to have Rael here at the track, coaching his young protege, Diego De La Torre. Only his 3rd, possibly 4th start in the Italian Championship. Tuukka Tappinen, fastest driver on the circuit. Well, he was, until the response came just a moment ago from Kasper Stugger into the 2:05s now. 2:05.895 for the driver on your screen. 3rd year in the Italian F4 Championship. This will be his last year in Formula 4. As he desperately looks for the backing, the support needed to move into Formula 3 potentially for 2024. Still the 2023 series to finish. And the US racing team driver, he looks good there. He is the gap, 2.1 seconds now, the fastest driver on the circuit. Into the chicane, right in the middle of the Mistral Straight. Tappinen still can't get by Wharton, who's in the final podium position at the moment. We move into the second half of the first of 3 races here this weekend at Paul Ricard. There is Lindblad going through, P7 for the championship leader. Brando Badoer, 2nd generation racer. 2nd year in Formula 4 as well. There is Spinner, 2nd Italian going through, just ahead of Rashid Aldeheri. Pablo Sarrazin, another 2nd generation racer, the Frenchman, racing here in France in the Italian Championship. Son of one-time Grand Prix race starter, Stefan Sarrazin, that single race with Minardi in Brazil back in 1996. something. I think it was 99 when, ironically, I told you this at Mugello, ironically, he took the place of the then injured Luca Badoer a generation on, and both Luca's son and Stefan's son, Pablo and Brando, their teammates with Panama Sport Racing. As Zachary David going through in position 9, the Australian behind him, Gianmarco Bradell. Spinner, good drive from Rashid Al-Daheri, who's worked his way up into position 12. As we approach the final third of the first race, a clean race, which is great to see here in the south of France. Sideways from Lindblad. P7, he just has not had the pace so far here this weekend. Down through the gearbox, rides the ripple strip, does Brando Badoer. Zachary David just behind Gianmarco Bradell. Looks like another point-scoring position, a finish potentially for the Australian, if he can hold on for the final third of the race. Kasper Stuka 2 seconds ahead of Ugo. There's Brando. P8 at the moment. Tuk Zappinen, the second Ferrari junior. The first is his teammate just a position ahead. The McLaren junior, Ugo Ugachuku, in position 2. There's the Rashid Al-Daheri, trying to get into the points, trying to get by the BVM racing car of Alfio Spinner, multiple WSK karting champion. There is James Agozzi, Tony Kart Racing Team driver, but for this weekend with the PHM Racing Team. The driver from Miami, Florida in the United States of America. His hometown will host the 3rd American Formula One Grand Prix. Actually, that's not entirely correct. The 3rd Grand Prix to be held in the United States of America. American being, well, let's have a geographer lesson. Canada and Brazil also part of the Americas, but let's get more accurate. His hometown, Miami, on the FIA Formula One World Championship calendar for 2023, and James hoping to be on the grid in that race in the coming years. He's having a good afternoon. He's in position 5. P1, Kasper Stuka. The gap down to 1.7 seconds as Ugo responds. 2:05.527. As Ethan Isha gets his last warning for that dreaded track limits. In position 25 behind Tina Halsman. 2:05.527 for Ugo Ugachuku at an average speed of 166 kilometers an hour. And for our viewers, his fans watching on in the United States of America, that's just over 102, 103 miles an hour average speed here at the 5.8 kilometer Paul Ricard Circuit in the south of France. Agozzi, that's him in the haze, racing up the Mistral Straight, holding off the Portuguese driver Ivan Dominguez, and behind him the Red Bull Junior is the championship leader Arvid Lindblad in P7. Car 17 turns in aggressively, does Ivan Dominguez, as Lindblad locks up the front left, not for the first time this weekend. An 05.527 for Ugo. Pole position, he was the only driver to break the 2:05 bracket, a 2:04.9 in qualifying 1. But off the start, as you saw, Kasper Stuka from grid 2 got the jump and headed the American down into turn 1. And from that point at the start of the race 21 minutes ago, nobody has been able to stay with the pole. Zachary David going through, the Filipino driver, position 9 at the moment. That is Gianmarco just behind. Another good strong drive from Gianmarco Bradell. Agozzi, Dominguez, Lindblad, the championship leader, Brando Badoer, Zachary David, Bradell, Alfio Spinner, Rashid Al-Daheri, the Huawei-backed driver from the Emirates, the youngest driver in the field, on the middle of your screen right now for the Yas Heat team. Home circuit, if you don't not mind, of Yas Marina. I told you that Paul Ricard is the finest motor racing facility in Europe, the finest in the world. Yas Marina might have something to say about that. Home track for the multiple WSK kart racing champion. Took out the Supermaster Series, the Euro Series and the Champions Cup. a couple of seasons ago, most recently in 2021. All those successes coming with the Paralin Motorsport team. But Rashid Al-Bahedi, position 12, still trying to get by Alfio Spinner for the BVM Racing team. Tuka Tapinen was close to the back of his teammate, but James Wharton has recovered nicely. The final podium position for the first of 4 Australians in the field in this mega international Italian championship. James Agozzi, the second American, inside the top 5. Dominguez just behind, car 17 for the Van Amersfoort Racing team. Into the chicane, slightly wide. Going very deep under brakes was Agozzi, no problem. Just backs out of the throttle ever so slightly, gets the drive on the exit. And James Agozzi still holds exactly 1 second over the Portuguese driver, Ivan Dominguez. Lindblad, position 7. Now Spinner about to be attacked by Rashid Al-Bahedi. The Roman-based Emirati for most of his kart racing career. Behind a Sicilian, Gianmarco from Sydney. Just behind the Maltese-based Filipino driver Zachary David is just running off the road there. Holds onto it nicely. Rashid tries to take Spinner, who locks up. The slightest error from the Sicilian. Rashid too far back to capitalize right then. They race down the hill, another wide line. He's on the marbles. He'll be slow on the exit. Here's an opportunity for Al-Bahedi. At the inside of the final turn, he's too far back. The Emirati flag. Right, flying proudly on car 14 in position 12. Agozzi going through at the bottom of your screen from Dominguez, Lindblad. By the way, Zachary David, Gianmarco Bradell, Alfio Spinner, still defending the 2 former WSK Supermaster Series kart racing champions. Alfio Spinner for Kart Republic, Rashid Al-Bahedi for the Paralin Motorsport team. And they're both being caught by Pablo Sarazan. Straight over the ripple strip. Nice clean line from Rashid. Alfio Spinner is in trouble here. He's been caught by not only Al-Bahedi, but also Pablo Sarazan in car 4 for the Van Amersfoort Racing team as well. 5:55 plus 1 lap on the clock. Race 1 of 3, round 5, the Italian F.4 Championship, the 10th anniversary season of this spectacular junior single-seater racing series. No less than 15 drivers out of the current 20 on the Formula 1 World Championship grid have come from either WSK karting or the Italian F4 or the formerly Italian or WSK run Formula Regional European Championship. Kasper Stulga, a couple of seasons in OK Junior and OK, his 3rd season in Formula 4. A stellar career for the all-in back pole. And he's going to take seemingly 25 points from race 1 here this afternoon as Alfio Spinner still defends from the Emirati. The dying stages of the first of 3 races here at Paul Ricard, smashes over the ripple strip as Rashid locks up. Spinner does likewise. Here's an opportunity as they race down the hill. If he can just line him up into the final corner and slam it down the inside, he looks to be too far back. But he takes the wide line. Or watch Rashid. Here's a do-or-die opportunity into the final corner. He has a big look at the back of the Sicilian, but the BVM Racing team driver 1 position outside the points holds off the Emirati for another lap. 4:30 plus 1 lap left on the clock. Kasper has got the race lead, but Ugo has cut it down to almost half. Ivan Dominguez sets his fastest lap of the race at 2:061. Kasper controlling the pace. The gap was 2 seconds. It's down to 1.2. Surely he won't throw it away from there, as Rashid desperate to try and get by the Sicilian. They're both trying to take Gianmarco Bradell for the final point scoring position. Agozzi runs wide. Dominguez goes even wider as they come out of turn 6 and race through the haze up the Mistral Straight. Lindblad, the Red Bull Junior car 23 for the Prema Racing team, in the middle of that pack, still in position 7. Into the chicane, a wide entry once again from Agozzi as Dominguez locks up. Griffin Peebles going through car 88, the Australian in the Jensen Motorsport car, who had a moment earlier on in the race. Three minutes remaining, the first of three races here this weekend. We'll check the gap next time across the line. Kasper Stuka, 1.2 seconds over Ugachukwu. Here come the leaders. That's why we were following Griffin Peebles. 1.217 seconds the gap, so the blue flag will be displayed for Peebles imminently. Can Ugachukwu do something spectacular here in the dying stages of the first race here at Circuit Paul Ricard? The gap 1.3 seconds as Kasper responds and says, no, you don't. 2:05.5. From grid 2, the pole has led this from the outset. He has driven superbly. Perfect line, just brushes the ripple strip as Ugo just absolutely sends it. Both dynamite quicker, these two drivers. Kasper Stuka from Poland, Ugachukwu from New York, USA. James Wharton from Melbourne, Australia. Three different corners of the world. And they're running 1, 2, 3 in the dying stages of the first race here. The blue flag for Griffin Peebles will be displayed. He'll try and bring it home to the checkered flag. He's in position 34. We did lose Lund, Rafael Narak and Akshay Bora in the early stages of the race. There's a Gozzi trying to break the toe from it. Dominguez. Lindblad, he's in trouble here as Brando Badoer tries to take the championship leader into the chicane. Rolling to a stop on the side of the circuit. What a disaster for Zachary David. Inside the top 10. Well, the US racing team may have a driver in P1 looking at a potential victory. But they've just lost the second of their 5 cars here this afternoon. Zachary David is out. The gap 1.4 seconds. We believe there will be 2 to go. So it is a 30-minute plus 1 lap race. He's about to cross the line. Praying for the checkered flag to come out, but it won't be for at least 2 more laps. Will cross the line with about 34 seconds left on the clock. So it's 2 laps remaining in the first of 3 races here at Paul Ricard. This does have championship implications, particularly if Brando Badoer, currently in position 8, can get by Arvid Lindblad. Now Ugo responds at 2:05.5. But Kasper goes even faster. An 05.4. Surely he's got this one under control. Already a race winner in 2023 and in 2022 for that matter, when he was teammate to Alex Dunn. The Irishman finishing in P2 in the championship. Kasper winning at Imola in the start of the season. Currently P4 in the championship, 108 points. So what's 8 plus 25? Give me a moment. He'll go to 133 points in the championship if he can hold on for another lap and a half. This is the penultimate lap of the race. Ugachukwu, the gap is 1.2 seconds. There is Griffin Peebles. The blue flag to be displayed for the Australian, for the Swiss team. Still circulating, just the 3 retirements. A clean race, thankfully, after what has been an incident-filled 2023 championship. In fact, 2023 season for junior single-seater car racing across the world, but it's been a good run here so far. Ugachukwu, the McLaren Junior for the Premier Racing team, in position 2. From pole position, but Kasper Stuka won the start, and it looks as though he's about to win the race. Down into the final corner. So the last lap board comes out now. There is Griffin Peebles, does do the right thing. Well done, Griff. Pulls over and lets the leaders race on by. Kasper Stulga now starts his final lap of the race. Uga Chulga, the gap is 1.2 seconds. The Prema Racing Team 2, 3 and 4, but it's US Racing in P1. Kasper Stulga on his way to victory. Arvid Lindblad, it looked as though a solid result, which still may happen in the following two races. The championship leader, he's in position 8. He's now been passed by Brando. It looked as though he'd leave Paul Ricard potentially with one hand on the trophy. Not so fast, boys, because Kasper Stulga is about to take victory in the first of 3 races here this weekend. Second in the championship, Uga Chulga, and second on the road in the first race. 221.5 points to Arvid Lindblad, 143 to Ugo. Lindblad has just been passed by Brando Badoer. And this is the final lap of the race into the chicane in the middle of the Mistral Straight for the final time. A superb drive. Uga Chulga, 1.19 seconds. He's just taken a 10th out of the pole that time. Kasper Stulga surely will hold on to it from here. Just checks the right side mirrors, flat through the kink at the top of the Mistral Straight. There is the McLaren Junior P2 in the championship, P2 in the race. Desperately trying to bridge the gap, but it will be too little too late. Down the hill through the right-hander for the final time. A brilliant drive. Smashes over the ripple strip. The right-handers and then the hard braking left to take victory in the first of 3 races here in the south of France. The pole did not start from pole position. It was the American Ugo out of grid 1. But Stulga jumped him into the final corner for the final time. The checkered flag is about to wave. Winner, Jurectina. Kasper Stulga, the all-in-back pole, has won the first of 3 races here at Paul Ricard. The championship is not over yet. Uga Chulga home in P2. James takes the final podium position. Tappinen, great drive from James Agozzi. The second American inside the top 5, Ivan Dominguez. Brando Badoer, the championship leader. Arvid Lindblad crosses the line in position 8. Wow, it is not over yet. Gianmarco Bradell in the points. The second Australian, and Alfio Spinner takes the final points-paying position for the BVM Racing Team. In 10th place, just ahead of Rashid Al-Dahedi. We'll check the complete results for you in just a moment. But it is all about this driver, Kasper Stulga from Poland. Car 37 for the German US Racing Team, the all-in-back driver in his 3rd year of Formula 4 racing. A brilliant start. They say the race is not won in the first corner. Before that, Kasper won it from the launch. He has taken victory with a faultless drive. The margin in the end came down to 0.8 of a second. Stulga controlled the pace. He won the race. Kasper Stulga puts himself back in contention, mathematical as it may be, for the 2023 championship. There's James Wharton, I should say. Agozzi in the background. P3 for James, who'll start from pole position for race 3 tomorrow afternoon. And the championship leader, Arvid Lindblad, just P8. The race winner, Kasper Stulga, coasts back to pit lane. He is a worthy victor here in the south of France. 37 cars on track for the first of 3 races here this weekend, and not a single safety car. Kasper Stulga from grid 2 with the fastest lap of the race has taken victory from not 1, not 2, but 3 Prema Racing Team drivers. Kasper from Ugo, and Jimmy James home in 3rd place. Tuukka Tappinen, great drive from James Agozzi for P5. Dominguez, Brando Badoer. Lindblad, the championship leader, only in P8. Gianmarco Bradell again in the points. And Alfio Spinner, il Siciliano, 10ª posizione. Rashid Al-Dahedi, great fight back from the Emirati. He was down in 20th off the start. Sadazan, Bidambakti, the tie goes by. Aurelia Nobels, she finishes 14th from Ariel Elkin, Klus, Jack Beaton, Enzo Taligni. Ricky Lu, Matthias Verheer. Alvise Rodella, Quintarelli, Tina Hausman, Kim Wareng, Ethan Isha, Victoria Blockina, Kabir Anurag, the Singaporean on debut in the series. Diego De La Torre, the Mexican Ismail Ahmed. Guido Lucchetti for Airflow Racing, the Tuscan. Great debut performance. Give him credit, the Miami-based Venezuelan. It's a tough introduction, but Gabriel Holguin for the Murphy Racing Team brings it home with a straight car ahead of Nicola Lacorte, who did pit earlier on in the race. Hugo, car 3, position 2. Still does narrow the championship gap to his teammate Arvid Lindblad. Dynamite, lightning quick is Hugo Chuko, but not fast enough this afternoon. The Ferrari Junior in P3, the McLaren Junior in position 2. But the all-in-back pole, Kasper Stuka wins the opening race here at Paul Ricard. There is Hugo. And we wait for Kasper, who just coasted around on the cool-down lap to make his way back into Parc Fermé. This will have an effect on the championship straight away. He puts 25 points on the board, so moves up to 133 points. The problem for him is James Wharton and Hugo Chuko were right behind. Arvid Lindblad, he was further down, but let's concentrate on that at another time. Winner of race 1, round 5 of the Italian Championship, Kasper Stuka from Poland. We'll take a look at the highlights of the first of 3 races here from Paul Ricard in just a moment. And right now, from the start, Kasper Stuka from grid 2, from the outside of the front row of the grid, got the jump, went wheel to wheel with the American Hugo Chuko. They went wheel to wheel down into turn 1. Ivan Dominguez down the inside. A great start from the Portuguese driver, who would ultimately come home in position 6. Wheel to wheel for the first 3 corners, but it was Kasper who went position 1. And from there, nobody was able to stay with the pole. 37 cars safely, cleanly making their way through the opening few corners. Well, largely one driver losing a front wing earlier on. Rafael Narak and Frederick Lund were out early on. The championship leader, Arvid Lindblad, falling back in the pack. This was Griffin Peebles going around the Australian, missing everyone and everything. To bring it home to the checkered flag. Victoria Blochina and Diego Della Torre put on a fabulous fight. Kept it clean, kept on racing. Victoria Blochina, who is currently leading the women's trophy. Fighting for that title with the driver on your screen, Aurelia Nobels, who came home in 14th place. Kasper Stuka, a perfect drive, won the race, controlled the pace by 0.8 of a second, led home 1 McLaren Junior, 2 Ferrari Juniors, and James Agozzi, the second American, inside the top 5 of the PHM Racing Team. But Kasper Stuka for the US Racing Team takes victory in race 1 here at Paul Ricard. We wait for the drivers to come up onto the podium here at Paul Ricard.
Nous allons maintenant remettre les trophées podium pour ces 2 podiums de la F4 Italian Championship, the F4 Italiano Championship. Et nous attendons bien sûr notre directeur, the director of the Federal School at G Sports. We are waiting for him. He's here. Okay, let's go with the 3rd place.
The driver who will start on pole position for race 3 tomorrow afternoon is the Ferrari Junior, James Wharton. He finishes P3. A good start for his weekend. Here is James making his way up onto the podium. Ugo slightly disappointed with P2 after starting from pole position. Still second in the championship with that drive into second place. But the winner from Poland here in the south of France in round 5 of the Italian Championship for the German team, it's Kasper Stuka. As you can hear, Mr. Raffaele Gianmaria representing Acci Sport, the automobile club of Italy, presenting the third place trophy to James, second place to Ugo, and P1 for Kasper. And also US racing team back on the top step of the podium.
The anthem from Poland.
Kasper Stuka takes victory in race 1 and will start from pole position for race 2 tomorrow morning from Paul Ricard at 10 o'clock. We'll see you then.